Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Voice of College Football Live here. My name is Matthew Miller, and we just watched Texas destroy Oklahoma. It was beautiful to watch for us Longhorns fans. It was the first time in over 150 games that Oklahoma has been shut out on offense. Abysmal performance by the Sooners. We're going to flash up that score real quick because 49 nothing. Texas beats OU 49 to nothing. Coming into this game, I thought Texas has a real shot at winning this game by 2 to 3 touchdowns. I did not think Texas was going to win this game by more than that. Part of the reason being Dylan Gabriel is out for the Sooners, so I thought 2 to 3 touchdowns. I think we're better than them at. Oh shit. Well, it would have helped if I had plugged in. So sorry about that. But Texas beats Oklahoma 49 to nothing. First and foremost, thank you to MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, for letting me, Matthew Miller, host this 40 Acres postgame show. Thank you, Mark, very much. Can you guys please thank Mark for me by hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel? It really helps out the content. Thank you very much. We'll throw up that score 49 to nothing. Texas beat Oklahoma. It's the biggest win in Red River rivalry history for the Texas Longhorns. Previously, it was 33 points, which has happened twice, done by that national championship team and done by a team back in the 1940s. So great win by the Longhorns. At the end of the day, I'm not going to look too much into this win because I don't think Oklahoma is very good. You saw them lose last week to TCU, who I think is a good team. Obviously, they are 6-0 right now. So good job for the Horned Frogs. Good season so far. But you get destroyed last week. And then you get shut out this week. They're out of the conference championship race for sure now. There's no chance for Oklahoma recovering from this going forward in the Big 12 with a stacked Big 12. You see Kansas losing Jalen Daniels, but then still playing well enough to win this game, win that game. They lost 28-21, I believe, or was it 35-28? It was one of the two. It was a very good game. Jacob Beam comes in for Kansas, plays very well. Overall, though, let's get back to this game. Quinn Ewers played great. Pohl didn't play most of the fourth quarter. He finished with 289 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. Bijan Robinson, 130 yards rushing. I believe that's a season high for him on 5.9 yards per carry. Keelan Robinson had 8 yards per carry. This team played the best on offense that they could. Again, going up against a bad defense. I will say this about Oklahoma, though. They didn't have the breakdowns in the secondary that they had last week. There was no wide open guys running open other than the one time where Jordan Whittington was running wide open. It would have been a touchdown if Quinn Ewers delivers a better ball. It wasn't a terrible ball. I think Jordan Whittington should have caught it. But at the end of the day, this team was clicking on all cylinders. I really can't say too much about the defense because, to be honest with you, they disappointed me at points because they were letting OU run the ball up and down the field, basically in between from their own 20-yard line to our 35, 40-yard line. They were able to run the ball. After that, we kind of stuffed them. But the thing is, they didn't have a quarterback. We should have known the run was coming, and we should have stuffed the run better than we did. But overall, great job by the Texas defense. Deshaun Jameson, the last couple of games, has played the ball very well in the air. That is something our cornerbacks have struggled with in the past. So great job by him. Let's get into some of these comments real quick. The first comment I see here is by Michael Hogg. Has the Texas Department of Public Safety been called for the homicide yet at the Texas State Fair / Red River shootout? They should have been. They should have been called at halftime because this game, unlike last year, there was no guy sitting on the bench for Oklahoma. That was such highly touted 5-star recruit in Caleb Williams. They didn't have that guy to call on. Nick Evers is good, but he's not Caleb Williams. And I think he'll be good going forward. But again, not Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams right now with the Bryce Young injury is the second best quarterback in college football behind CJ Stroud. So once they got down like that and all they could do was run the ball basically, and Bevel is absolutely terrible. They didn't trust General Booty, obviously, which, I mean, my God, that's an interesting name to give to someone, but they didn't trust him, obviously. So overall, just a abysmal showing by the Sooners. I think they may win 2 more games going forward. I don't think it's a very good team. I think they can beat West Virginia, and they might be able to beat Iowa State, but that is it. I don't see any more wins for this team. This team is very bad overall. And I think Texas, realistically, if we play like this on offense, defensively, like I said, it was good, not great. The shutout is a little bit of a mirage just because I think Oklahoma is that bad on offense. But I do believe that we could win out going forward with Quinn Ewers at quarterback. He was really good today, other than the one throw where it was very lackadaisical. He was too cool for his own skin right there. He drops back to pass, pressure, rolls out to the right, or rolls out to the left, actually, then rolls back out to the right and just like throws it off his back foot, expecting to get out of bounds, and he can't get it out of bounds, even with the arm talent he has from the far hash, like Greg McElroy said. So that needs to be taken care of. I think there's those little mental lapses he still has, and he's a freshman, or he's a red shirt freshman, but he's still very young. So I think we'll take care of those little mistakes, and we'll come back stronger next week. We play Iowa State at home next week. That I think will be a pretty good game. Robert Butler, embarrassed and sad. As an Oklahoma fan, I would be embarrassed. I don't know if I'd be sad. No offense. I think you guys had your expectations way too high this year. This was never going to be a Big 12 championship team, in my opinion. I thought they would compete for it, but I didn't think they'd win it or even get there. But overall, they did take a much steeper drop off than I thought they would. I thought this team Oklahoma coming in would win 8 games. They're not winning 8 games. I do not see that unless something crazy happens. I think they'll probably win, like I said, 5 to 6 games. They might make a bowl game. And you're going to see, you kind of see some of the same things that Sark dealt with at Oklahoma, culture problems, guys quitting, stuff like that. And when you have a guy come in and do a culture shock like that, that's kind of to be expected, I think. Smooth Criminal. This kind of makes up for last year's Texas collapse. It does not. In my opinion, I wanted that game more. Oklahoma, again, playing with they didn't have a backup quarterback. The backup quarterbacks are bad. As you saw, Davis Bevel is not good. So once Dylan Gabriel went out, you saw what's going to happen, and it happened. So I'm not shocked by it. That's why I really appreciate what Hudson Card was able to do for our Texas Longhorns, what he was able to accomplish, and that he stayed. A lot of guys would have hit the transfer portal immediately, even though it probably doesn't make sense for him. They would have done it anyways. And thank you for doing that, Hudson Card, because we probably don't go or have that good of a record without Hudson Card. A backup quarterback's very important. They're not important, so you need them. And Oklahoma really needs a backup quarterback right now, because I think Dylan Gabriel will play next week, but you saw in this game how bad they are without him. And that shows how good Dylan Gabriel is. Like, their offense is at least competent with him in there. Cordy, I still think Texas loses at Oklahoma State and TCU and Austin is a toss-up. We're not losing to TCU and Austin. If you know who's on the sidelines for us, we're not losing. Gary Patterson is not going to lose to the Horned Frogs, and we're not losing to them in Austin. I don't think that's going to happen. The games that have always worried me are Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State and Kansas State at Kansas State. Those are the 2 games going forward that I think we're going to have gigantic issues with. Kansas State was my sleeper team. I had them in the Big 12 championship. I believe I had picked Kansas State and Baylor in the Big 12 championship, which is still a possibility. The Big 12 is wide open. Kansas really impressed me today again, even though they lost. Jacob Beam came in, played really great as a backup quarterback. Again, that's why a backup's so important. But I don't think TCU is going to beat us with Gary Patterson on the sideline in Austin. That's tough to say since they have their backup QB. Agree. Mark predicted Oklahoma in the playoffs about 6 or 7 weeks ago. I was worried Mark has developed a drug problem. Yeah, this team was never going to make the playoffs. Again, I just didn't see that happening. And we're going to welcome in my co-host real quick here, Brandon, D4 Sports. What's up, buddy?
Ah, man, excited. Excited.
Let me put that back up real quick because it's beautiful to look at, and I think you'll enjoy it as well.
Oh, yeah.
OU 0-0.
Did you get to hear the stat in the game? I think it was like 311 or 312 straight games that they haven't been shut out.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it was just domination. And I agree that we played pretty well. But would you say there's still some things on defense that worry you, right? Like them being able to run the football that much when we know that they could only do that worries me.
Yeah, for sure. Holding them to, was it 38 passing yards?
Yes, it was
the entire game.
Like
and there's still things that can be worked on. There always is. No game's perfect. I think it was a perfect result.
Yeah, for sure.
But no game's perfect.
Yeah, it was 39 passing yards in the game. So crazy. And yeah, Davis Bevel's just not it. And we kind of knew, like we said, going into the game, D4, you predicted what, 45-20 or something like that?
45-17, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I predicted, I believe, 37-23. So we both predicted a pretty convincing win. We didn't see this. Obviously, I thought this was in the cards. Not 49-0. I thought they could have scored. I thought it'd been like, if you told me the worst case scenario, I could have seen 49-10 or something like that.
Mhm.
But without Dylan Gabriel, this team's just not very good.
No, it's obvious they had a complete drop off, but their defense was like Swiss cheese.
Yeah,
It was honestly, they were outmanned up front all game long. Our running backs were more physical than their linebackers. It was just a perfect storm of things to happen for a 49-0. I still can't believe 49-0.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And the thing is, Quinn Ewers came in, looked pretty good. There was only that one pass where he kind of got lackadaisical, too cool for himself, and threw it up towards the sidelines. That was the really only bad pass, I think. Even the Jordan Whittington one was a little high, but I thought Jordan Whittington could have caught that ball. Jatavian Sanders, another really good game. I'm glad to see that we're getting him in the offense. Really, since we called it out, D4, that we wanted Jatavian Sanders and Keelan Robinson more involved, we've seen that.
Yeah, for sure. Jatavian on the day, 5 catches, 71 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, you couldn't ask for any more out of him. Whittington led in receiving yards with 5 for 97.
And Keelan Robinson had a couple catches, 2 catches for 28 yards, 4 attempts for 32 yards. We also got to see Jonathan Brooks, who I know I'm very high on. And he played pretty well in his limited time. We got to see some of the very young offensive linemen, the second unit, come in. They looked pretty good. Overall, just a good day. Hudson Card, I think, was cool. I think he just got put in there to basically get a standing ovation, which he deserves, because we see what it looks like when you don't have a good backup quarterback, guys. Like if we have Charles Wright instead of Hudson Card, I'm not sure we win any of those games we played without Quinn Ewers in there. Or even compete in any of them. So it's really good to see that Hudson Card is getting his flowers for that, because he should. It's hard to keep a backup quarterback in there. Most guys transfer out, and it doesn't really make sense for him to transfer out, but most guys would have done it anyway. So congrats to him. And to be honest with you, though, if Quinn Ewers is playing like fully healthy throughout the whole season, I think we're 5-1 right now. I'm not going to give us both wins, but I think we split either between Tech and Bama.
Yeah, it's a completely different offense when he's in there. It's open. I think Sark has more wiggle room with the throws that Quinn can make. It's just like completely opens more.
Tell us.
Let's see.
Does this game tell us more about Texas or Oklahoma? I think it tells us about both, to be honest with you. I think it shows that Oklahoma is probably going to win 4 to 6 games this year. And I think Texas could possibly, if they play this well on offense and Quinn Ewers stays healthy, I think there's a real possibility that we could win out. Obviously, defensively, we're not where we need to be, but that can get better. What do you think, D4?
Yeah, I think it tells a little bit more about Oklahoma, because we've seen what this offense can do. We showed it last week. The part that I think it shows about Texas is be consistent from game to game. Haven't won back-to-back games in how long? So, and with this being a rivalry, Oklahoma, I don't know how you don't get up for a rivalry game like this. I know both teams are 3-2 coming in, but how do you not get up for that?
QWERTY, Quinn Ewers played well, but got to get the deep ball going, and the interception was bad, but still things to work on, but expected in my opinion. The deep ball, we really only took 2 shots that I can think of. We took the one to Xavier Worthy where he was too far out of bounds, and it was a good pass, good catch. So we ran out of room. That's really all that happened there. And then the other one was the Oklahoma guy just decided to shove Xavier Worthy down, and it was pass interference. Those are the only 2 deep balls that I remember in the game. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, I didn't see.
But Quinn Ewers in his limited action in the 2 games throws a good deep ball. He's accurate with it. It's on time. It's on target. So I really don't. That was more of a Hudson Card issue, not a Quinn Ewers issue. But we'll see going forward. You could be White QWERTY, but I just don't see that right now being a gigantic issue. What you do notice more with the Quinn Ewers stuff is there's more stuff to the outside, to the boundaries, because he's able to make those throws with his big arm, whereas Hudson Card could really only work the middle of the field because he was accurate enough, but his arm's just not there. But Quinn Ewers, that I loved, by the way. The best play call of the game was the fake screen one-way to Xavier Worthy with the little spin back pass to, I believe, who was that? Was that Keelan Robinson?
Oh, I thought it was just, I think it was Jatavian.
It was either Keelan or Jatavian Sanders. And either way, it was a beautiful play call. I love that play call. It should be used more going forward. So I liked it. Charlie Strong was at least competitive and even beat OU. Yeah, I don't think he ever got blown out versus Oklahoma that I can remember. I think every game was competitive. He actually struggled. The team he struggled with most was TCU. He always got destroyed by them. Corey Peacock, BV will not be the head coach at Oklahoma in 5 years. I'm not ready to say that because we kind of saw the same thing from Steve Sarkisian last year. This could literally be the exact same situation where Brent Venables comes in and he is trying to build a different type of culture than Lincoln Riley had. Lincoln Riley that's why he fits USC so well. He's California cool, likes to have fun on offense. The defense really just doesn't matter to him as long as it's okay. That's fine. Whereas Brent Venables, defense is his life. That is the lifeblood of what his program is going to be. So he probably came in there and crushed heads or crushed skulls in the offseason and said that we're going to do it this way. And you're kind of seeing that. You see guys on the field. It kind of reminds me of Texas on defense last year that are quitting. They're just not in it. They don't want to play for the program. And you're going to see probably a lot of transfers out of Oklahoma, but you're going to get his guys in that fit that mold. And I think they're going to get better. I'm not ready to throw in the towel on Brett Venables. He was way too good of a coordinator for me to do that after 6 games into his college coaching career.
I wonder what recruits like Colin Vasek is thinking right now. OU commit. Texas was in the mix.
Yeah, there's a couple of those it'd be nice to have back, and we'll see what happens. And I know there's some guys that chose Oklahoma over Texas in this last recruiting cycle that may be regretting that decision. We'll have to see. But again, it's one game. We're 4-2 now. We'll move forward to Iowa State. We need to keep going, keep this pressure on, and keep winning football games. So, and Iowa State has a really good defense. That will probably be our best test defensively other than the Alabama game. But it'll be a best test defensively, hopefully, with the healthy Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers was in that game for a quarter, so it's hard to tell what we would have done versus that Bama team with Quinn Ewers. So we'll see what happens. Stormship 77777. How are we looking 2 years from now at OU? That is very hard to tell. That's like asking us Texas fans, how do we think of Steve Sarkisian 2 years from now, halfway through this, basically after this loss that we had last year. I didn't know what to say after last year's loss to Oklahoma. I was kind of miffed at that, and I think Oklahoma fans are kind of the same way. So we'll have to see what happens. I think as long as they recruit at the level they usually recruit at, and Nick Evers turns into a decent quarterback, I think they'll be fine.
And Brent Venables, if OU fans are patient with him and he gets his players to fit his scheme, because it took him 2 years to get Clemson right. So you give him time to get his players in there in his system, I believe they'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, most defensive coordinators, guys, they're good because they're good at disguising what they show, because that's how you do that now. You can't just throw out the same packages over and over and over again. These guys coming out of high school are too good at reading defenses. These coaches are too good on offense. They'll destroy you. It's about disguising packages and also getting the players in there that are smart enough and also hardworking enough to learn that type of defense. And Brett Venables' defense is hard to learn. Another name that comes to mind that was like this, Jim Knowles. If you looked at Jim Knowles coming into Oklahoma State struggled early on with him, but every year they got better. And about the third year, you saw, wow, this Oklahoma State defense is a top 25 to 30 defense in the country. I think Brett Venables can do that with this Oklahoma team. If they give him a chance and he recruits well enough. And I think he'll be able to recruit well enough. The question is, will Oklahoma be able to withstand, I think, what's probably going to be a 5-7 season this year, probably an 8-4 type season next year. And then that's the next year after that. It's just like Steve Sarkisian with Texas is the year you have to judge what he is as a coach. I think Steve Sarkisian next year is going to tell us everything about his tenure at the University of Texas. And I think 2 years from now, Brent Venables' tenure will be determined in that year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely 100% agree. Love seeing long sustained drives opposed to boom or bust possessions. That's always great to see. Always great to see sustained drives. And what impressed me more was not even our offensive sustained drives. When OU went on those long drives on our defense and they held up strong in the red zone instead of giving up, it was a bend but don't break. And I absolutely enjoyed that. Actually more than offense.
Yeah, 100%. And the best thing that I saw in this game was our just consistency running the football. There was we always got 3 to 4 yards, it seemed like, and that's what you got to do to keep the chains moving, get your down and get your third downs in small situations, like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. That's where you want to live on offense, because if you're at 3rd and 3, the whole playbook's available to you. You can run, you can throw screens, you can go deep if you want to. Whereas if it's 3rd and 7, the defense knows what's coming, especially if it's on the other side of the field. Like, they know it's either going to be a run or you're going to have to obviously throw at the sticks. So it's very predictable. And it's good when you're like, you stay on schedule. And that's what we did today. That was probably the best thing we did on offense, is we always stayed on schedule. There were a couple, it's funny, Bijan, some of his best runs was when he actually lost yards in this game, because he had to make so many guys miss at the line of scrimmage. Sometimes it's incredible to watch him make people miss, because he doesn't seem like it seems like he's moving slower than everybody else.
Yeah, I think it's because, I don't know, he's patient.
Yes.
It's his patience that makes him look that way.
There was that one run where he stood behind the offensive line for like 2 seconds and then cut back left and went through the hole. I think it was in the 3rd quarter, and it was really nice. I mean, that was the most patient I've ever seen him be on a run. If he's going to be that, where he can be patient, and then also when he gets to the hole, he's able to burst through it like that. I mean, that's why he's the best running back in the country. I don't think it's really a debate at this point. Like it was Travion Henderson, him at the beginning of the year, and you see Travion Henderson hasn't really done much this year. So it's Bijan Robinson.
For sure.
Venables is way over his head. He took an 11-2 team and has made them historically bad on offense and defense. You have to realize he's also not playing with the exact same team. A lot of those guys, I mean, looking on offense, you lost Caleb Williams, you lost Mario Williams, and you lost, there was another guy on offense they lost too, that I forget, but
Hazelwood.
Well, yeah. So you lose 3 really good players. You're probably your best wide receiver, your 3rd best wide receiver, and your best quarterback by far. And in my opinion, the 2nd best quarterback in the country. So it's like, I don't know what you expected this year. Like I said, I think your expectations of Oklahoma fans was just way too high. And I understand why, because it's like you have to go back like 20 something years for this team to have been like this bad, or not even this bad, but just average. And like I said, the expectations were just too high.
And let me go ahead and put this out there. We're not saying we're back.
Yeah.
We're saying that we had a damn good game.
Back is when we're holding the Big 12 championship trophy.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see if that happens. Just getting there, I think, would be really good. Especially, I think this is a really good Big 12. Like I said, I think there's really only one team now eliminated, or 2 teams, in my opinion, eliminated from the contention, and that's West Virginia and Oklahoma. Everyone else is batting. Like if Iowa State were to beat us next week, they still got a chance to make the Big 12 championship. So basically, it's an 8-team race. We'll see how it plays out. Next week game is probably another elimination game for the Big 12 championship. Whoever loses, not going to make it. So Texas needs to win that game and keep themselves in contention. I would agree. Give them 2 years. The defense has no excuse. The Sooners have given up just under 2,000 yards last 3 games. I mean, that's a pretty incredible stat, to be honest with you. 2,000 yards in 3 games is pretty incredible. So that's over a mile of offense.
Yeah, in this game, they were outgained 585 to 195.
Yeah. And think about it, they only threw for 39 yards. So that means 160 of that was rushing. So,
Mhm.
and that's what I'm saying. That's the one thing that does concern me as a Texas fan. You knew they were running and you still couldn't stop them when it was especially Eric Gray out of the Wildcat. They destroyed us on that. I don't know why they decided to run or throw that little pooch pass on that one play because they were just killing us on that drive. They should have kept running it. So those guys have to be better going forward up the middle at Texas. And I think if that's the case, if we can stop the run, our cornerbacks have actually played very well. Deshaun Jameson with that pick played the ball very well. He played the ball very well last week as well on a pass breakup. So, and Ryan Watts has played pretty well as well, too. So I think this team on the back end is good. I think the linebackers with Jalen Ford playing the way it is pretty good. It's mostly the front four that needs to get better.
Texas has deep pockets. Yes, they do. And it's not illegal.
Thank goodness Brees Hall is in the NFL now. Yeah. He didn't do much versus us last year other than that one run that absolutely just ended the game. That was a war of attrition last year, and we just got destroyed at the point of attack in the second half. As you guys know, that famous Bo Davis rant. That's why it's hard for me seeing. I don't think we're going to lose Iowa State next week, seeing as we're playing in Austin. And what happened last year and the rant that Bo Davis went on, it would not shock me if Bo Davis reminds the players that you remember this game last year, you remember the rant I had to go on, don't make me do it again. So it would not shock me if we win this game pretty easily. I'm not going to say like by 21 points or anything, but like 10 to 14 points, like comfortably. Money can buy wins. That's not true. Look at Texas A&M. That's just not true.
A little brother over there struggling with their $30 million payroll.
You can buy players. You cannot buy wins. Wins come from the coaching that goes into the players and also the heart that's in the players that you bought. And that's all there is to it. Exactly. That's what I just said. Like it doesn't buy wins. I mean, they're by far, they paid the most money out of, I think, any team, and you see how they're doing. So it just doesn't work like that.
Just ask Nick Saban. He'll tell you.
Yeah, he'll definitely tell you. And when they destroy him tonight, he'll tell you again.
Brady's feelings must be hurt today.
Yeah, I don't know who he roots for, but yeah, I mean, Texas, I mean, it's legal, so I don't care. Buy who you want to buy. NIL's legal. I don't really care.
It's the Wild Wild West out here.
Yeah.
It's a 1980s SMU all over again.
If the NCAA actually did their job and got ahead of this, we wouldn't have to. You wouldn't have to be saying that. They could have laid rules in place that would allow teams to play within these certain rules. But guess what? They didn't. So anyone can do anything now. Doesn't matter. Guys, can you do something for me real quick? Can you please hit that like button? Please subscribe. Second, go over to the Texas channel. We're trying to grow that. Please hit the like button and please subscribe there. It really helps out. It really does. And it's free to do, guys. It takes 5 seconds. Just go over there, subscribe, like the video. Thank you very much for that. Second, Brandon, plug the Patreon for Mark Rogers real quick.
Patreon, $5 per month. It's a measly $5. If you ever super chat, just take one of the super chats that you give Mark, head on over to the Patreon, get access to the Discord server, get in there, talk about football 24/7. Get on live streams like we are here that are private. We talk amongst ourselves, 9, 10 guys in there just BSing about college football all the time. You won't regret it, and you get access to Mark's picks and everything. Best $5 I've spent.
There you go, guys. Please go over and do that. Guys, I'm a Big 12 guys, but come on. Okay. We didn't say anything other than, I don't think we even said anything. We just said Texas does buy their players, but so does A&M. It doesn't come down to just buying your players, is what we're saying. If that was the case, Texas would have never been bad in the first place.
It's true. Proud to support you guys. Well, we appreciate that, Brady Hart.
Yeah, thank you, Brady. Yeah, I'm trying to think, what other games do we have tonight that would be big? We have,
I know TCU just beat Kansas.
Yeah, that was a good game. And like I said, Bean came in, their backup played really well for Kansas. TCU looks good. Duggan looks good. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Obviously, A&M plays Alabama. Ohio State plays Michigan State. That's going to be a massacre. I think Ohio State wins that game by 3 touchdowns. Mel Tucker is a fraud. I don't know why they gave him all that money after 1 year, but congratulations on going 7-5 for the next 10 years, I guess. Let's see. I don't know if Michigan beat Indiana. I know that game was very close. LSU versus Tennessee. Why LSU was like the spread on that game was that little was crazy to me. LSU is not a top 25 team. They never were. If you go watch them, they were always abysmal in those games. They got lucky to win most of their games. So I don't know why they were ranked 25th. Tennessee is a legitimate, I think, top 12 team in the country. I don't know if they're as high as 8, but they're legitimately a top 12 team. I think they will compete with Alabama. I don't think they're going to beat Alabama, though. Do you think Oklahoma State or Texas natty? I don't think either team's going to the natty, but right now I think you just have to give the edge to Oklahoma State because they're better on defense. I think offensively they're pretty even, to be honest with you. I think we may be a little bit better. But
yeah, sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I think defensively they're a little bit better at this point.
I would have to go with Oklahoma State until proven otherwise.
Yeah. That's going to be a really good game. I mean, especially if we win the next 2 games versus, I believe we play Iowa State, and then we have 2 very hard games back to back that I think we're going to end up splitting with Kansas State and Oklahoma State. But Brandon and I both, when we previewed Texas, disagreed on the loss. He thought we'd lose to Oklahoma State. I thought we'd lose to Kansas State, but I have a feeling, and I think Brandon would agree with this, we go 1-1 in those games. I don't think we win both.
Yeah, I think so.
MSU tried to buy wins too. No, they bought a coach. They didn't try to buy wins, but they paid way too much for Mel Tucker after 1 year. I never understand that. Like, why do you give extensions to guys that aren't in demand anywhere else? Where was Mel Tucker going to go? No one's from the NFL is calling Mel Tucker. There's no big program right now that has an opening that I think would interest Mel Tucker. So why throw all that money at him? It's just like when Texas gave that ludicrous extension to Tom Herman. Like, where the freak is Tom Herman going to go? Like, he's not going to go anywhere. So I don't understand that. I don't think you should do that for coaches. I think it's fine to give them a 1 or 2 year extension, but anything more than that's just crazy to me unless they're in demand. Brady Hart, who's going to Nebraska? That is a great question. I don't know. If I'm Leipold, I stay away from that situation because they expect way too much there. If I'm Leipold, I try to negotiate a lifetime contract with Kansas after this year. I really do. I try to get a 10 to 15 year contract. That'll pay me $3 to $4 million a year. And that's guys, at a certain point, happiness, money doesn't equal happiness. If you're getting paid $3 million a year at Kansas for the next 10 years, that's $30 million with the taxes there that you're not going to get taxed that much. The expectations are low. If you win 6 games a year, you're a god there. So I really don't understand why you'd leave to go to Nebraska, where if you go 7-5, 7-5, 7-5, 3 straight years, the 4th year you're going to be on the hot seat and you can be fired.
I hope it's Tom Herman.
It could be, and if like I said, if Tom Herman at whatever age he is, and most people can't do this, they get set in their ways, is able to look in the mirror and say, I did this, and this wrong at Texas, he can work at somewhere. He definitely can. He's got the ability. He can definitely coach a little bit. Obviously, in those big games, he coached very well. But there was some arrogance about him. And if he didn't get rid of that, then he's not going to work anywhere anymore.
And you got to think on Leopold's side. Texas and Oklahoma are leaving the Big 12. You're bringing in group of 5 teams. Why can't you be the top dog now?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why you couldn't think like that. I mean, you're going to win. I think Kansas is going to win 7-8 games this year. So I don't really see why you would leave when, like I said, you win 6 to 7 games every year at Kansas. That guarantees you a decade. It really does. I don't think their expectations are going to change. They're like, oh, we need to win 9-10 games now. I just don't see that happening. Whereas Nebraska does have those expectations. By the way, USC and UCLA are coming in. Those are both better programs than Nebraska at this point. So I don't understand it. I wouldn't leave. Wisconsin would be interesting because he did coach at Wisconsin Whitewater. That's a job I think he should consider. But unless they throw him like double or triple his salary, in my opinion, because I think he only makes $2 million at Kansas. If they want to triple his salary, then I would leave. But if they don't do that, I wouldn't leave either.
Okay, is the former TCU head coach an interest? I don't see why not. Gary
Nebraska?
Patterson, he's been a good coach. Anywhere,
Yeah, I don't think so. One of 2 things. I don't think his like brand is recovered yet. I still think it's going to take another year for people to forget how bad he was the last couple of years at TCU. Two, I don't know if he wants that. That's the main question. If he doesn't want a coaching job, I could see him just riding into the sunset doing what he's doing at Texas, because I'm sure he's making $1 million, and I'm sure it's a very pretty easy job. I bet Sark gave him like 4 games in the offseason to say, hey, these are the teams I need you to absolutely deep dive into and just find out any mismatches that we can have. And I bet that was Bama, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and then name the other team, probably Baylor. And then the rest he kind of helps on week-to-week basis. But I bet there was a lot of deep dives of the really good teams that we were going to play and not really much else. So I don't really know why he would leave personally, unless he does want to be a head coach again. That's the main thing. He could want to do that. He may want to do that. Sonny Dykes is proving that. In my opinion, Gary Patterson is past his prime. I actually like Sonny Dykes. I thought that was a good hire for TCU. Good recruiter, fun brand of offense. I think the defense is playing a little out of its mind right now. I don't think they're that good on defense, but overall, I think, yes, Sonny Dykes is doing better than I thought he would his first year. I thought they were going to win like 6 games this year and then win 8 or 9 games the next year and then kind of take off from there. So we'll see. I think it's going to be fun when Texas and Oklahoma leave the Big 12, because they're going to leave a power vacuum, and someone's going to have to take over as like the top 2 teams and top 2 exciting teams in the Big 12. And I think TCU could do that.
Smooth Criminal. I don't. He's not even the DC. He's just an analyst right now.
Yeah. Would Gary turn down money? I mean, he's made a lot of money, so I don't think it's I think Gary Patterson at this point cares more about the job that he's offered more than the money he's offered. Like, Nebraska is a decent job, but he may want something. He may think there's something better. If you guys really don't think Brent Venables is going to work out at Oklahoma, let's say he struggles the next 2 years, Gary Patterson could go to Oklahoma. I mean, I don't see why not. I don't think at this point it would be pretty crazy to say that Josh Heupel would leave Tennessee and go to Oklahoma. That wouldn't make much sense to me for what he's building at Tennessee. But who knows? It is his alma mater. We'll have to see.
Yeah, but hey, there's some bad blood there.
That's true.
That's bad blood. Would Sark hire an offensive analyst? I'm sure. If there was somebody out there that piqued his interest or, help break down a team, I'm sure he's not above having assistants,
I think he did hire an offensive analyst.
But
I think he said
he did with the former Duke coach, but he left and went to the SEC.
David Cutcliffe.
Cutcliffe, yeah.
Yeah. And there was someone else too that I think he had on the staff at one point. But yeah, I think he would. I just have to be the right guy. I don't see why he wouldn't. Okay, who's the next guy at Nebraska? In my opinion, I think Matt Campbell. I think Matt Campbell's going to be the head coach in Nebraska. I just think he slides over there. I think that makes sense.
Marion's a receivers
coach. Yeah.
Who wins the national championship? I'm going to go with a gut feeling and say Ohio State.
I think it's Alabama. I think Alabama wins it. I just think that's like the one team that can get pressure on CJ Stroud. And when you're not used to the pressure, because if you watch Ohio State, he doesn't get pressured a lot. He sits back there pretty comfortably. That can really bother you more than even just more than it normally even does. But Ohio State, it's funny because at the beginning of the season, everyone thought Ohio State and Alabama. You watch the first couple of weeks, you're like, I don't know about that. But now it's the same thing. Like, those are the 2 best teams. I don't even think it's really close at this point. Georgia's really fallen off the last 2 weeks. They look like absolute crap versus Missouri, and they look even worse versus Kent State. And I think Stetson Bennett is kind of coming down to earth.
Yeah, if you'd asked me 2 weeks ago who I thought was going to win it, I would have told you Georgia was about to go back to back.
Brady, Alabama at best versus Texas at best. I still think Alabama, just because it's hard for me to say. We saw 1 quarter. If he would have showed me 3 quarters or a half and he was playing that well, then I could say, okay, but it was 1 quarter. I'm not going to overreact to 1 quarter. So I'm going to say Alabama. I think we beat Texas Tech pretty easily if Quinn Ewers was healthy. That's why I think we're 5-1 if that was the case.
I agree.
And I'm tired of playing these what ifs games. It is what it is at this point. We're 4-2. I'm fine with that. We just have to if we double our record, what it is now, and we end up 8-4, I'm fine with that. Realistically, I want an 8-4, 9-3 season. So no issues for me if we end up 8-4.
Yeah, Georgia's riding that struggle bus against Auburn right now too.
What's the score?
0-0, almost the end of the first quarter.
Their defense is good, but the thing is, the defense was such a historic level that now it's come down to a good level. Like it's probably a top 5 defense in college football. But the problem is that offense has stayed the same. So it just doesn't work anymore, guys. Like if that defense wasn't what it was last year, they would have lost to Alabama. Hell, if Jamison Williams is healthy in that national championship game along with John Mechie, I think there's a chance they lose, even with how good that defense is. So I just don't see it with them.
Fun fact. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Texas lose. Like I said, I think Kansas State's a possibility. I think Oklahoma State is a possibility, and I think Baylor's a possibility. I think really those are the only 3. I don't see TCU coming into Austin and beating us. I just don't with Gary Patterson on the sideline.
I don't see Baylor doing it. It'll be, I think we lose one more, and it'll be Oklahoma State or Kansas State.
Fun fact: Steve Sarkisian was an assistant on the USC team that beat down.
Yeah, he was.
Yep.
2000. He was also on. He also coached against us in 2005. Him and Lane Kiffin were co-offensive coordinators.
8 to 10 wins is a clear improvement every week, plus a bowl win. Agreed. That's what we want is clear improvement. I never expected coming into this year. Again, this was always the year before the year. Next year is the year we expect a Big 12 championship. Next year, you have Quinn Ewers in his second year in college football starting. You'll have him second year under Steve Sarkisian. You'll have Xavier Worthy in his final year. You'll have Isaiah Nayer back. You have Casey Kane, who I think is really going to take a big jump from year 1 to year 2. You have Jatavian Sanders, I think is again going to get really good between this year and next year. I think the offensive line is going to be phenomenal. Kelvin Banks, again, phenomenal. Played great again. That guy is going to be, if he continues this and he projects up every other year like this, he's going to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft when he comes out. The offensive line played great. If those young guys can just continually get better, I think this team can win 10 to 12 games next year. I really believe that. But this is the year where we win 8, in my opinion, 8 to 9, and I'm fine with that. Who's this? Well, before the year I said Kansas State, but I don't think they're a sleeper now. I don't think there really is a sleeper. Like everyone, because they're so muddled, I don't really even know, because there's not like a true number 1 contender that they're all contenders. So I don't really see a sleeper.
No, I don't either.
And I mean, if you still want to say Kansas State, but I don't think they're a sleeper. And the thing is, if you can contain Adrian Martinez from running the ball, I think you have a pretty good chance of beating Kansas State. Now, that's an issue because he's a very good athlete, and you also have Deuce Vaughn in the backfield with him, with Colin Klein calling the plays. So that could be hard to do.
Is it true that TCU took out Kansas's quarterback as well?
Like, took him out on purpose? I didn't see I know he got hurt. But I don't know if, like, it was malicious.
I don't know. I don't know if it was malicious or not. I seen that text.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he got hurt. I saw that because I was wondering why they were struggling early on. It was 14-0, I think. I was like, oh, they're about to get blown out. And then they showed like he got hurt. And then the guy came in and just started. He has a very strong arm, Brady Beam. That guy has a cannon. But he said yes, shoulder, Brady did. Big 12 versus SEC. The top of the SEC is better than every other conference, but their middle is the same as every other conference. That's been the case for the last 15 years. They've been really good. The top of it is always good. You always have 2 to 3 teams that are the better than everyone's else, top 2 to 3, but the rest is the same as everyone else's conference. That's always been my stance. It will always be my stance. You always have you always have Bama and Georgia and occasionally like an LSU, and the rest is the same as everyone else. And their bottom is actually probably weaker than any other conference. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, and I would put Auburn and Vanderbilt, Missouri, and just
the Pac-12 has the worst team I can think of. Colorado's abysmal. The Big 12 doesn't have Oklahoma might be the worst team in the Big 12. I think the battle for that is going to come when West Virginia and Oklahoma play each other. That should be interesting because I think JT Daniels can destroy that defense, but I also think if Dylan Gabriel's healthy, they can destroy West Virginia's defense. That game may be like 51-48.
So yeah, South Carolina, Spencer Rattler too. Okay, top 3 SEC and Big 12. Top 3 in the SEC is Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee.
Yeah, or Old Miss. You can have a debate there. Big 12 is just so hard. Oklahoma State's 1. 2. I'll put TCU there for now, and then I'll put it's either Texas or Kansas State.
Yeah.
But those are the top 3 to 4. I think people don't understand that the Alabama and Georgia are not the SEC. No one in the SEC beats those teams along with everyone else. I mean, they're the SEC, but I get your point. Like, they're so far ahead of everyone else, and I would agree up to this point that they just bring the conference along with them. I would agree with that. But
yeah, if you have Vanderbilt fans chanting SEC, 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 then what have they done? You're riding Georgia and Alabama's jockstrap. Kentucky, you're riding a jockstrap. South Carolina, Florida, teams that aren't doing anything.
Texas A&M.
Yeah. they're the original jock riders.
Yes, they are. Texas took Oklahoma to Suplex City today. Yeah, they did. It was fun to watch. To be honest with you, I was supposed to go to the game this year, and I'm glad I didn't because I don't really want to spend that type of money to watch that type. To be honest with you, I just don't want to watch that type of game. Like, it would have been fun to watch, like us kill them, but I want a competitive, fun, amped up environment, like back and forth type game. Like last year's game, even though we lost, was a more fun game to watch. To be honest with you.
What's funny is my son's team. He plays in the 9-10-year-old league, and we were in double overtime. And I'm sitting there watching my phone, yep. See what's going on.
Do you think the Big 12 survives power? Yeah, 100%, because they added, in my opinion, the 4 best group of 5 teams. You added Houston, BYU, UCF, and Cincinnati. So those are good teams that you added. And I think there's room even for more expansion. Like, if the Big 12 or Big 10 doesn't want Oregon and Washington, you can add them. You can add back Colorado, who I think should have never. The 2 teams that should have never left the Big 12 are Colorado and Nebraska. They really destroyed their programs by leaving the Big 12.
Yeah, I'm not even going to respond. That's the dumbest comment I've seen all day. Congratulations, you win the award.
First off, we didn't beg, because if you beg for something, you can still get turned down. They invited us and we went. So yeah.
Yeah, stats.
I'm sorry, but what I saw from I mean, that's just today though, and I think we can hold our own in the SEC. Like, if you put us in the SEC now and you put us against like a balanced schedule, like a normal SEC type schedule where you play the good and the bad teams, we're probably 7-5 this year. Like, we're an average SEC team. Cordy, grab Boise State. Yeah, I agree. That's the next like group of 5 team. Wherever they go, that'll be a win. I think you get Boise State, Colorado, Washington, and Oregon. That'd be a really good conference. It'd be a fun conference to watch. It'd still be the 3rd best conference, which the Big 12 is right now. I think they're the 3rd best conference. And honestly, I think without Ohio State in the Big 10, I think the Big 12 is just as good everywhere else. I think Oklahoma State could beat Michigan.
Be a good game.
Yeah, it would be interesting because they're both pretty good defensively, and then the quarterbacks are actually very similar. Good athletes, good highly rated players, but they don't put it all together. And then Harbaugh and Gundy are kind of similar too, now that I'm thinking about it. I disagree. I mean, that's fine. If you want to think Texas can hold their own in this, I'm cool with that. But I just don't think – I'm trying to think, like, we're not better than Ole Miss. We're not better than Tennessee. We're not better than Alabama. We're not better than Georgia. So we'd probably be the 5th best SEC team. Kentucky would be the debate. I think that's where the debate starts.
Again, dumbest comment of the day. A win's a win. Doesn't matter. Move on.
Okay, first off, an implosion. Second, we had an implosion last year, and we went 5-7 and almost beat you guys. So I don't know. Sark versus Brown? Mac Brown? Okay, that's not a debate. Mac Brown right now.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Man, that was a mistake hiring Venables for Oklahoma. Would have hired Stoops, Mark Stoops. That is, I mean, yeah, I think. So what Mark Stoops does to me is your floor is very high, but your ceiling is very low. Like I think you win 8 to 10 games every year, but that's the most you're gonna do. I'm not an OU fan. Okay, then why are you? I don't understand your point. Then
Surprise
Dollar
me.
Dollar General Booty. I feel so bad for that kid to have his name be General Booty. His parents should not. His parents should be arrested for that.
Or it could work to his advantage. You never know. I mean,
That's true. So, guys, I think that's going to do it. Can you please hit that like button? Please subscribe down below. It really helps out the channel. Before we go, though, D4, plug that Patreon again real quick.
yes, sir. Mark Rogers Patreon. Get access to his picks. Get access to the Discord server. Get to hang out with like-minded college football fans that talk football 24/7. $5 a month. You won't regret it.
So, guys, thank you for tuning in. We're going to throw this up here one more time because it's a historic day for the Red River rivalry. It's a historic day for the Texas program. Biggest win in the history of the Red River rivalry. It's also the first time in over 300 games that Oklahoma has been shut out. So, phenomenal game for the Longhorns. Again, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Go over to the Texas channel. Subscribe over there. Like that those videos as well. Go over to D4 Sports. Like his content. Subscribe to his channel. And, guys, hook 'em.